Good evening, and welcome to The Late Show. Tonight we have the honor of speaking with author, cultural theorist, and feminist philosopher, the late and great Gloria Anzaldua. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, happy to be here.
So Gloria, do you mind giving our viewers a little insight into your background to start things off? What are some of the experiences that inspired your writing and activism?
Well, I was one of 4 children born to Mexican-American parents. We grew up in a farm in Texas in the Rio Grande Valley region. My parents came from a line of farmer ranchers. I suffered from a rare hormonal disorder that set me apart physically from my classmates, and I think early on that instilled empathy in me for others. My upbringing near the border, which influenced me profoundly, was marked by dichotomies, us versus them. I was constantly battling my family's internalized racism and at the same time subject to the racism of whites. This state of two worlds was something I was constantly navigating, and it necessitated a deeper exploration in my culture and identity.
How were you able to make sense from those binary oppositions? What did that exploration yield?
Those dividing lines felt very arbitrary. In reality, one's identity not comprised of these rigid categories, but rather in gray areas between them and beyond them, I was able to find myself. In a sense, by looking outside of the conventional boundaries of race, citizenship, and gender, by delving into the traumatic history of my ancestors, I was better able to understand the divisions that separate us today. It's this kind of thinking that is the foundation of my writing and activism.
Speaking of your writing, can you tell us a little bit about your seminal work, Borderlands?
Borderlands, or La Frontera, is a 2-part semi-autobiographical work. The first part deals with the challenges I faced throughout my life. The second part of the book is how about these borders are also a metaphor for those binary oppressions we mentioned earlier. The border between Latinx and non-Latinx men and women, queer and non-queer, among others.
Can you speak to why you write in both English and Spanish?
I chose to write in both languages side by side in part to illustrate the blurring of these steadfast categories and to give a much truer representation of my life and work. I want others to experience the frustrations of facing language barriers that deny access, while also creating works meant specifically for bilingual readers. A big motivator for writing the book was also to bridge a gap. While I was researching for a class I taught called La Mujer Chicana, I was disappointed to find out about the lack of published material by women of color.
Besides bridging that gap in literature, you also made your voice heard as a part of several activist organizations. Can you speak to that?
I was involved in a number of groups, yes. There was MECA, or the Chicano Student Movement of Aslan, feminist organizations, and consciousness-raising groups. I was also a part of the Chicana movement as well as a writer on lesbian and queer theory.
How did these groups and affiliations impact you?
Being involved in these groups and organizations paved the way for my critical work. I remember struggling to find my place during that revolutionary era. Each group required sacrificing some part of my identity. They were not as intersectional as the groups today strive to be. For example, the women's liberation movement did not consider the specific burdens faced by women of color. Additionally, the Chicano movement reinforced the dichotomy between white and brown, an unrealistic dividing line. Gender differences within the movement were not considered. A lot of my work was in response to the goals of these movements, a critique for their philosophies. Instead of working towards the liberation of one group of people, we should fight for holistic solutions resulting in systemic change. That was always what I was in support of. More love, more empathy, and fewer dividing lines. But I will say that the energy of fellow activists was invigorating. Seeing new modes of thought that were born from my work let me know I was on the right path.
We'll be right back with Gloria after this short break.
The heck? Hey, honey?
I did it. You were upset because you couldn't palm a basketball, so I deflated it. And I got you Blue Bunny snacks for those cute little hands.
Blue Bunny snacks.
Give in to the bunny.
Now we're back. Even with so much success, you must have gone through some struggle throughout your career.
Well, of course, there are roadblocks throughout my career. For instance, back in school, I was unable to continue graduate school because it was considered unacceptable at the time. I also had a hard time getting my work approved by the universities. They didn't think Mexican American studies or queer and women's studies was a valid or worthwhile pursuit. It's only now that the tides are beginning to change, but so much more work needs to be done.
Thank you for your tireless contributions to those areas. Before we end here, what is one message you would like to tell the audience?
I would like to tell the young reviewers especially to never settle for less, to always embrace who you are, and to never be embarrassed by it.
Gloria, thank you for your time this evening.
It was my pleasure.
And now we present an excerpt from Gloria's poem, To Live in the Borderlands.
To live in the borderlands means knowing that the India in you, betrayed for 500 years, is no longer speaking to you. The Mexicanas coyuvajetas, that denying the Anglo inside you. It is as bad as having denied the Indian or black. Cuando vives el frontera, people walk through you. The wind stills your voice. You are a beto, boy, scapegoat, forerunner of a new race. Half and half both woman and man, neither a new gender.